Welcome to this explainer. Right away, we're looking at something that is way more than just a weather pattern. We're talking about the Indian monsoon. For over 1 billion people, this isn't just a season of rain. It's literally a rhythmic heartbeat that dictates absolutely every aspect of life on the subcontinent. From the food on the table to the songs people sing, the monsoon is the great engine of Indian life.
Okay, let's dive right into this cause and effect journey. We'll start with 1, the monsoon engine. Then we'll hit 2, culture, festivals, and seasons. Next up, 3, the economic pulse. And finally, 4, climate change and disasters.
But, hey, before we unpack the scientific mechanics, I want to share this beautiful ancient Sanskrit verse. It says, "May the rains be timely, may the earth be lush with vegetation. May this country be free from turmoil, may good people be fearless." I love this because it immediately establishes the deep historical, spiritual, and really the emotional weight of the rains. A timely monsoon has literally been synonymous with peace and prosperity for centuries.
Section 1. The monsoon engine. So how does this massive, life-giving system actually work, and where does it even originate?
Well, you might be surprised to learn that the word monsoon actually comes from the Arabic word mausim, which simply translates to season. So technically, it doesn't just mean rain. It's referring to the massive seasonal wind patterns over a huge area of the Indian Ocean, South Asia, Africa, and Australia.
Now, what's really fascinating here are the thermal mechanics at play. It all boils down to one super simple fact. Land heats up and cools down a lot faster than the ocean. So as summer begins, the Asian landmass gets incredibly hot, which creates this incredibly powerful low-pressure system. And since air always flows from high to low pressure, this creates a massive vacuum that just sucks in winds from the cooler, high-pressure ocean. These winds are absolutely loaded with moisture, which condenses and falls as the southwest monsoon. Then, as winter approaches, the whole shebang just flips. The land cools, the winds reverse, and dry air blows back out to the ocean, giving us the northeast monsoon.
To truly wrap your head around the scale of this moisture vacuum, just consider this jaw-dropping number: 11,000 millimeters. Masanram, a town located in Meghalaya, receives an average of 11,000 millimeters of rainfall every single year. That's 11 meters of water falling from the sky. To put that into perspective, imagine a 3-story building made entirely of water just dropping on a single town. It is literally the highest average annual rainfall anywhere on the planet.
And when these seasonal rains finally arrive, the earth is just soaked, and daily life completely adapts. Notice how school children just casually navigate these flooded paths under a total sea of umbrellas. Life doesn't stop, right? It just kind of tunes itself to the rhythm of the rain.
Moving on to Section 2, culture, festivals, and seasons. Because Indian life is so deeply tied to this climate cycle, the very first major ripple effect we see is on human society itself.
India has this huge array of festivals directly tied to the seasons in agriculture. So, whether it's the vibrant Bihu celebrations in the east or Pongal down in the south, these incredibly diverse regional festivals are ultimately totally unified. Why? Because they're all celebrating the exact same agricultural and seasonal shifts brought about by the monsoon.
And it goes beyond festivals. The rain's influence literally shapes the arts. It's so deeply ingrained in the culture that it's inspired specific musical scales, or ragas, in both Carnatic and Hindustani classical music. Ragas like Meghamahar and Amritavarshini were created specifically to evoke that feeling of the monsoon. It drives harvest rituals, traditional dances, and even those simple stories passed down through generations about praying to the rain gods.
And this brilliantly illustrates how these overflowing rivers literally become the epicenter for massive community joy. Lush, rain-fed waterways host vibrant traditional events, like these incredible longboat races. So, the monsoon isn't just a backdrop for culture, it's an active participant, and for sure, the very reason these celebrations even exist.
Which brings us to Section 3, the economic pulse. Now, there's a much more critical survival side to this reliance. The monsoon is the absolute backbone of India's commerce and livelihood. The reality is, India's economy is entirely tethered to the rain. Millions of people rely directly on agriculture and industrial supply chains, which, by the way, often impact the global markets that you and I interact with every single day, depend heavily on a predictable water supply. Basically, when the monsoon is good, the economy thrives. But what happens when it fails? Well, we see a pretty grim domino effect. It starts with poor rainfall. When agriculture suffers, the immediate human reality is that people, usually women, have to walk long, grueling distances just to find daily water.
Next, agricultural laborers lose their livelihoods and are forced to migrate to overcrowded cities looking for work. And finally, with lower crop yields, the cost of basic food like grains, vegetables, and fruits spikes dramatically, fueling nationwide inflation. So a failed monsoon isn't just bad weather, it's a full-blown economic crisis.
Section 4. Climate Change and Disasters. So what happens when this ancient, predictable rhythm gets violently disrupted?
Unfortunately, India's diverse weather patterns are increasingly bringing about some really extreme conditions. We're seeing highly destructive cyclones, devastating floods, and deadly landslides. These events completely disrupt local economies, destroy vital infrastructure, uproot trees, and cause massive soil erosion. The India Meteorological Department actually works around the clock to track these incoming cyclones, especially the ones battering the eastern coast, to give people critical warnings before they make landfall.
Now, we just talked about the drought narrative of a failed monsoon, but here is the exact opposite extreme. When unpredictable, intense flooding hits, urban infrastructure just gets totally overwhelmed. Watching commuters struggle to ride motorcycles through heavily flooded city streets is becoming this increasingly common reality. The delicate balance is definitely tipping toward extremes.
And the data proves this threat is real and accelerating. Rising temperatures are perceptible across so many regions. For instance, early in 2025, India saw average temperatures sit 1 to 3 degrees Celsius above normal. This resulted in a winter that was way shorter and milder than usual. And this erratic behavior is a huge deal. It threatens not only agricultural production cycles, but also all those small-scale industries that rely on seasonal predictability.
To fight this, governments worldwide are pushing climate mitigation, right? This means cutting greenhouse gas emissions, boosting renewable energy, and promoting sustainable lifestyles. But here is the massive modern dilemma. These vital, environment-friendly practices often clash directly with a growing society's desire for rapid economic growth and increased consumption.
And that brings us to arguably the most critical question of our time. As the planet warms and the rains become less and less predictable, how can societies balance this very real desire for economic growth with the urgent, absolute necessity for climate resilience? How a billion people navigate the future of their monsoon heartbeat is absolutely going to shape the century to come. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope it leaves you with a lot to think about.